Hi everyone, I am Ankur, co-founder and CEO of Belong, and welcome to Offshore Advantage, where we discuss everything related to investing via GIFT City in India and abroad. Today, we are going to talk about how resident Indians and even NRIs can invest globally via GIFT City-based outbound mutual funds. Just to recap, GIFT City stands for Gujarat International Finance Tech City. It's India's international financial services hub. It is considered offshore under FEMA, and it's a gateway for rest of the world to invest in India and for India to invest abroad. So what are these outbound mutual funds? So these are funds which are based in GIFT City that invest in global markets like US, China, Japan, Europe, etc. Now, such funds also exist in India, but many of them are no longer accepting fresh investments as they have exhausted the RBI imposed caps on foreign investments. So RBI had imposed a $7 billion cap on the total amount the entire mutual fund industry can invest abroad, and this amount has been exhausted for quite some time now, like for a few years. So hence a lot of these funds don't accept any fresh investments. And that's why GIFT City has become a popular destination for such new funds to launch. As GIFT, there are no such limits when you do it via GIFT City because it is offshore under FEMA. So an outbound fund that registers itself under GIFT City is outside the purview of this limit, and hence they can keep on, accepting fresh investments and deploying their capital. These outbound mutual funds can be of two types. They can be active. Active basically means that they will take stock specific bets. So for example, they may think that okay, Nvidia is going to do well or Amazon is going to do well in US, and let's say they're investing in Europe also, so they can pick some stocks from Europe and all of that. So they are taking stock specific bets. And this being done by the fund manager based on his or her expertise and what their view of the market is. Or the second type, which are passive funds, where they basically invest in a country's index fund. And the idea here is to give you a low cost exposure to that particular country's stock market. So for example, they may be investing in an S&P 500 ETF, or they may be investing in let's say a China ETF. So the idea here with a passive fund is that they give you a broad access in a low cost way to the entire country or the geography. Now coming to the most important part of this video, which is the taxation of these outbound mutual funds. And this is where there is a lot of confusion, and this is where there's a significant difference between how inbound mutual funds are taxed or in general how mutual funds are taxed in India. Now, in order to understand the taxation of outbound mutual funds, first you have to understand that these mutual funds are in itself a company, right? So, and like any company which is resident in India, right? So even if you're a GIFT City based company, you are finally a tax resident of India, right? That country is domiciled in India. It is offshore under FEMA. So FEMA rules don't apply, but all other, for all other purposes, it is still in India. So now fund, which is a company that is registered in GIFT City, so it is domiciled in India, right? So like any other company, it has to pay taxes on its sources of income, right? So, and sources of income could be investment income or dividend income or business income, right? Anything. Now, when this company is a mutual fund that is registered in mainland India, there is an explicit exemption on capital gains tax that it has to pay based on its trading or investment activities. A similar exemption is for inbound mutual funds also, but which based in GIFT City. But if you are neither, right? So if you're not a mutual fund in mainland India and you are not an inbound feeder fund based out of GIFT City, But in this case, let's say you are an outbound fund based out of GIFT City. So here, since you are investing outside India, the Indian government does not give you any tax exemption. So as a company, you are liable to pay taxes on whatever income you receive through, whether it is through investing in stocks or getting dividends from them or anything else, right? So that is where the biggest tax angle comes in here. So here in outbound mutual funds, the fund itself will be taxed on its trading activities, or when it buys and sells stocks, right? So now after that, once the fund has been taxed on its portfolio trading activities, let's say now as an investor, right, you are redeeming money from the fund, then there is no tax on you, right? So all the tax is applicable only on the fund at the fund level, and beyond that there is no tax applicable to you. Now what is the tax at the fund level? So let's talk about again capital gains tax, which will be the biggest component here. So let's say the fund invested in Nvidia, right, and after 6 months let's say it decides to sell it. So whatever capital gains has accrued to the fund between the let's say it bought it for 100, sold it for 120, so 20 is the capital gains that they have done, multiplied by the number of stocks they held, right? So since it was held only for 6 months, it qualifies as short-term capital gains. So here for foreign equities, the time limit for short-term versus long-term is 24 months. So since this was less than 24 months, this qualifies as short-term capital gains, which has been earned by the fund. So the fund will have to pay the tax on it, which is for short-term capital gains for foreign equity, you are taxed at the slab rate. And then there is a surcharge and a cess if your income goes beyond a particular threshold, which will be in the case of the fund. So the overall tax rate, short-term capital gains tax rate, works out to be 42.75%, right? So 30% is the highest slab rate, and then there is a surcharge on it of 37%, and then there is a cess on the tax plus surcharge. So everything put together works out to be 42.75% at the fund level. Again, I'm just re-emphasizing, this is just based on the fund's trading activities. It has nothing to do with whether you redeemed your investment in 6 months. As long as the fund bought and sold something within 24 months, making it eligible for short-term capital gains, this is the tax that will be paid. You may be holding your units as an investor, it does not matter. Right, now coming to the long-term capital gain. So once the stocks in their portfolio have been held for more than 24 months, then long-term capital gains tax is applicable, which is much lesser. So it's taxed at 12.5%, which is the same for other products also. But again, there's a surcharge and a cess, which brings it to a total of about 15%. Right. So yeah, that's the biggest thing that you have to keep in mind. Now, on top of that, if the fund is holding stocks, they may declare dividends, etc. So again, on the dividends received also, there is a tax which totals to about 35.88%. So again, the calculation being there's a 30% tax slab for the fund plus a surcharge. The surcharge here is lower, it's 15%. And there is a cess on the tax and surcharge. So here the total comes down to 35.88%. So this is something that everyone who is investing in outbound mutual funds through GIFT City should keep in mind. Again, this is not dependent on whether you are a resident Indian investor or a non-resident Indian investor, because this is taxed at the fund, right? This is the tax that the fund has to pay on its capital gains income from buying and selling stocks. On top of this, another thing that you have to keep in mind is that now as a resident Indian, if you're sending money to GIFT City, that comes under LRS, right? Liberalized Remittance Scheme by the RBI, in which you can send up to $250,000 per year, right? But any amount that you send above 10 lakhs INR, right, there is a TCS of 20% that will be deducted at source. So you will be sending this money while at your bank. The bank will deduct 20% if the amount crosses 10 lakhs in a year, and will deposit that as advance tax, against your PAN. So this is not an extra tax, it is an advance tax which you can claim back while filing your ITR, or it can now even be adjusted against your any outstanding tax requirement that may be there. So for example, if you are a salaried individual, this 20% TCS will start reflecting in your against your PAN in your 26 AS or your AIS. You can then go to your company and say that, hey, so much tax has already been paid, so please take this into account and do not deduct more tax for the remaining months. So that is also possible. Obviously you have to work it with your company, but yeah, this 20% TCS is applicable to resident Indians only above amounts when amounts exceed 10 lakhs INR. And again, it's not an extra tax, it's an advance tax which can be claimed back during your tax filing, or even adjusted against any ongoing tax demands. So which outbound mutual funds are available today? So there's one retail mutual fund that invests globally, that is already live in GIFT City. It's called DSP Global Equity Fund. So it's by the DSP AMC, and the investment strategy is as follows. It has a core portfolio which is about 60 to 80%, and this is their high conviction bets across developed and emerging markets. So this is one of the unique features of this fund, that it's not just US focused. It's it spreads its investments across, and these are high conviction stocks that are picked from stocks all over the world, right? And some examples are leading US and European tech companies, or even Chinese companies, and all. Then there is a satellite portfolio, which can be about 20 to 40%, which are very sector specific bets. So for example, right now AI or deep tech is doing pretty well, so they may have some investments in that, or something else, right? And they can depending on the investment conditions and their view, they may also hold up cash to some extent. The minimum investment for this fund is $5,000, which translates to roughly 4.5 lakh in INR. And once you have invested, the additional investment required is just $500. The expense ratio, which is the management fees charged by the fund, is 1% in the direct plan and 1.75% in the regular plan. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of what is the difference between a direct plan and a regular plan. It's chiefly the distributor commission depending on who you are buying this fund from, right? So if you buy it from an app like Belong, where we have commission free mutual funds, so the fees, the management fees that you will end up paying is just 1%, which basically leaves gets you higher returns at the end of the day, right? There is an exit load in the fund. There is a 1% exit load if redeemed within 2 years. So again, you can see how they have aligned the exit load of 2 years with the time duration for short-term capital gains and long-term capital gains. The idea is to incentivize long-term holding, so that they can also take longer-term positions, so that the tax is minimized at that level. So who can invest in this fund? It's primarily for resident Indians, since it's a outbound fund, but NRIs, OCIs, and foreign investors can also invest in this fund, except residents of US and Canada, and those belonging to gray or blacklisted FATF countries. So while this fund is already live, it has been live for a few months now, there are many more outbound funds in the pipeline. So there are already two funds which will go live in December. One is by Edelweiss, Edelweiss Greater China Equity Fund. So this is fund, they already have a similar fund in US, which is, they already have a similar fund in India, which is China focused. But as I said, they have all exhausted the RBI imposed caps on foreign investment, so they are not able to take a lot of fresh investments in that fund. Hence, they have launched a GIFT City based China focused fund, and as we discussed, there are no limits there, no caps there, so they can keep on taking fresh investments in that fund. There are another two funds being launched by Parikh AMC. These are two passive funds. So remember, we spoke about active funds and passive funds. So these are two passive funds. One is a feeder fund into S&P 500, and the other is a fund that invests in NASDAQ 100. So these are two US based indices that a lot of you would be aware of. So the fund is simply going to just hold and invest in these indices. So there is no active stock picking. Parikh AMC is also planning to launch an active outbound fund, but that's a couple of months away. How can you invest in these funds? So in order to invest in these funds, either you can approach the mutual fund companies directly, or you can use an app like Belong, where you can do your KYC and transfer money and invest, just like how you would do with any other investment app. For NRIs, the documents that are needed for the KYC are passport and a foreign country residence ID and your latest bank statement. For resident Indians, you just need your Aadhaar and PAN, and it will be a completely digital process. Transferring the money for investing, whether you are an NRI or a resident Indian, you have to send money to GIFT City for this, which will be an international transfer. And depending on where you are investing from and all of that, you may have the option to do a local transfer based on that. What are the benefits? So just recapping, like we have discussed a lot of things. So what are the benefits of investing globally via GIFT City? So one is that you can get your India investments and global investments through just one jurisdiction and like through one app and all, when you do it via GIFT City. So you can you have one app to do both the things. The second is that you can invest globally without having to open accounts in all these different countries. So within GIFT City, as we saw, there is a global fund by DSP. There is an upcoming China fund, an upcoming US fund. So you get everything from one place without setting up accounts in different countries. And all of this you get with the full regulatory cover under India, the IFSC. The IFSCA, which governs the GIFT City, also is an Indian regulator. So you get and they have borrowed all the best practices from India and globally as well. So you get that full, regulatory cover and regulatory safety of doing this. With if you're investing via apps like Belong, then you get to do your KYC digitally. Money movements from certain countries has been made seamless and free with great exchange rates, etc. So better than doing it, let's say, via your bank or doing it directly with the AMC. For NRIs specifically, going via GIFT City helps them avoid all the NRE, NRO hassles, all the FEMA hassles. There are no limits to the amount of money you can send and withdraw. No caps on that, and with minimal paperwork you can do that. For resident Indians, investing in a GIFT City based fund is still comes under LRS, so they have to wire money outside India in a sense. So LRS limits and TCS apply, but at the same time, one important benefit that you get is, especially when you are investing in the in US based US stocks, or US trying to gain exposure to US. If you directly invest in the US, let's say you open a broking account in the US directly or via a partner, and you are buying stocks there directly or buying ETFs there directly, then you are exposed to US's inheritance tax in case something happens to you, and which can be very steep. So it's called estate tax there, but yeah, essentially it's inheritance tax. So it can go up to 40%, right? So and this is not on the profits or anything, it's on the total amount, right? So investing via GIFT City helps you avoid that, because the units, like if you're investing through a GIFT City fund, investing through GIFT City fund helps you avoid that, because you are investing in the fund, so your units are domiciled in GIFT City, which is in India, right? And the fund is then buying and selling something in the US. So if something happens to you, the transfer of ownership is just of the units, which is still an Indian asset. So only Indian estate laws or inheritance laws apply, where there is no tax. So that is one very important benefit of doing it via a GIFT City based mutual fund rather than doing it directly. So yeah, that was all about outbound mutual funds via GIFT City, and hopefully you guys found it interesting. Thank you very much.